Makunga Consulting Services presents Church Payroll, SARS Pay-as-you-earn registration process, and income tax returns. Church leaders, secretaries, treasurers, governing body members, etc. I greet you all in Jesus' name. May you kindly join me as I present to you the Church Payroll, SARS Pay-as-you-earn registration process, and income tax returns. Please feel free to participate in this webinar. A quote: employees who receive salaries or fringe benefits such as housing, vehicles, or other services as a direct result of their employment from a religious institution are not exempt from paying tax. This was made clear by Kingston, who stated that SARS will in all likelihood conduct lifestyle audits on certain employees of religious institutions in order to ascertain whether they are indeed being taxed correctly and that they are not in fact avoiding taxes that they rightfully owe. The outline: employer registration process with SARS, record keeping, information to be provided by the employee, remittance of employee's tax, remuneration definition, and allowable deductions to determine the balance of remuneration. An employer must apply for registration for employees' tax purposes with SARS within 21 business days after they become an employer, unless none of the employees are liable for normal tax. Application to register as an employer must be made on EMP 101 form. Where an employer has, for registration purposes, applied for separate registration of branches of his or her undertaking, each such branch shall be deemed to be a separate employer. Application to register a branch separately must be made on an EMP 102E form. Below is the process to be followed by a church intending to register. Step 1. In the governing body meeting, a resolution must be taken to register the main church or local assembly or local church with SARS for pay-as-you-earn and UIF. They must appoint a public officer who will be responsible for all SARS matters. The chairperson must hereafter write a letter of appointment and acceptance of a public officer on Part A and the public officer on Part B. The public officer must complete the registration application form EMP 101 if main church, or form EMP 102E if local church. The public officer must submit the following documents at the SARS branch: EMP 101 form, PPO certificate, and if none, the main church must apply for one. SARS income tax exemption letter of the main church, proof of registration of your local church or local assembly by main church, minutes containing the resolution of registering the church as an employer with SARS, and the appointment of a public officer whose name must be stated in the minutes, the letter of appointment and acceptance of the public officer, a certified copy of ID of the public officer, proof of residence of the public officer, proof of residence of the church, church bank statement. Depending on the different circumstances, more or less information or documentation may be required. Record keeping. Every employer must keep a record of all remuneration paid, employees' tax deducted in respect of each employee, and SDL and UIF contributions. This register must contain personal particulars as well as remuneration payment details of each employee. The employer is obliged to provide the employee with a payslip before the pay date of each pay period. Information to be provided by the employee. The employee must provide the following particulars to his or her employer: surname and full names, postal address, identity or passport number and date of birth, income tax reference number if any, contact details. Number 4, remittance of the employee's tax, that is SARS returns. The employer must remit the amount deducted to SARS with his or her monthly EMP 201 return. Remuneration definition. Remuneration for employees' tax purposes is defined as any amount of income which is paid or is payable to any person by way of salary, leave pay, wage, overtime pay, bonus, gratuity, commission, fee, emolument, pension, superannuation allowance, retiring allowance, or stipend, whether in cash or otherwise, and whether in respect of services rendered or by virtue of being a holder of a public office, including an allowance or advance. Allowable deductions to determine the balance of remuneration. The employee's tax deduction is calculated on the balance of remuneration after the deduction of all allowable deductions. Allowable deductions being pension fund contributions, retirement annuity fund contributions, income protection policy premiums, donations, and medical scheme contributions. Should you need to contact us for more information, I am Pastor Exen Mukungela, the Managing Director of Makunga Consulting Services. I'm also an independent financial reviewer. And with me, we work together with Mrs. Ene Zinyani, who's the administrator of Makunga Consulting. Our telephone numbers are as follows. Our email address is xmkungela@makungaconsulting.co.za. And this is our website. Also, you can also find us on WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, where you will search for Kandilomzi Mkungela or Makunga Consulting. Thank you very much. May God bless.